Hello, Jackie. How are you doing? Righty. Let me just do this. Say hi as you're coming in, guys. Just give me a sec. I thought I had tagged the attendees, but apparently not. Good going. I'm well, thank you, Jackie honey. How are you? Hello, Eva. How are we all doing? Maybe I won't bother tagging. Oh, you know what? Because I'm a little bit like that, I'm going to. Whoa. This is one of those moments where part of me is going, okay, do this, and then the other part's going, no, I don't want to. That is Monday for you. It's actually a public holiday here where I am, and I totally forgot that it was, but that's okay. Oh. Sorry guys, I'll be with you in a sec. And it gives us an opportunity to wait for any others that are going to pop in. So do say hi as you're popping in. I know I'm not looking at the screen. I'm so sorry. Whoa, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh. All right, coolies. So I've just tagged the attendees there. Let's see. Hello, Heather. How are you going, love? Sorry, I just tagged you. I didn't realize you're already here. What's that? All right, so we are all set up. Let me just move this down a little bit. Okay. Hello, guys. Say hi when you get in. Let me get rid of the comments on there because I can see them here. Oh, goodness. There we go. She's up. She's going to go bark outside now. Why are you walking past my house? All right, my loves. So welcome to those of you that are here. Welcome if you're watching this on replay. Do give me a hashtag replay if you are. And if you don't know me, my name is Christine. I'm the founder of Quantum Ascension Temple and the group that you are watching this in, Quantum Ascension Community. Welcome. Today I'm going to be talking about soul mastery and the 4D bridge as part of the Get Your Shift Together event. This is a very spontaneous event. I've never actually organized an event like this before with a whole bunch of speakers, but I did get some intuitive inspiration, and then before I knew it, I was already contacting people and getting them on board. So that's how I run with my intuition sometimes. So if you're new, let me know. Do say hi when you get in here. If you have any questions throughout the live, or even if you're watching this on replay, just pop them into the comments. I'll try to address them. If they come through live, I'll try to address them during the live. But if you know me, sometimes I sort of need to ignore the comments for a little bit and just concentrate on what it is that I'm saying, because sometimes I can get a little bit off track and forget my point. I'm a little bit like that. My sometimes my brain goes at like a mile a minute. So forgive me if that happens, and I'm not ignoring you. I will get back to all the comments as soon as I can if I do miss them. All right. So as I mentioned to you, I'm going to talk to you today about soul mastery and the 4D bridge. I get a lot of questions about the differences between 3D, 4D and 5D. So I'm going to explain that to you today as well. And I'm generally just going to talk about my own personal journey, my own healing journey, recovering from depression and my suicide attempt in 2009. And you know, I just caught a glimpse of myself on this live, because you know, if you've done a live, you guys will know that you can, you know, you're basically just watching yourself speak because you're on the screen right in front. And I caught myself just then noticing that when I talked about my suicide attempt, there was a big smile on my face. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but it is possible for those of you that are experiencing like suicidal thoughts, suicidal tendencies, or really deep depression. Know that there is a point. Rewind the video, watch that back. There is a point when you'll be able to talk about it and with a smile on your face instead of sadness and distress. There is hope. There is always hope. Hold on to hope there. And I know that it may not necessarily feel like it now, and I'll talk a little bit more about this as we go on. But you can get through that. You can get through that. There is light at the end of the tunnel there for you. All right, and I'm also going to gift you at the end of, towards the end here, an activation of your personal ascension codes. Now, I just want to remind you that with activations and things, it's really important to stick with the integration process afterwards. All right, activations without integrating them into your reality really, you know, I want to say they don't offer anything, but it's very minimal. And when it comes to activations and things like that, you will receive what you're ready for at your level of consciousness. All right, so when it does come to activations and things like that, if you want to experience them or watch them more than once, go ahead, because you will receive something different each time. You'll receive a different layer. You'll receive a different part of the code, a different piece of that, you know, overall puzzle. So don't feel like if you listen to an activation or you receive an activation and you don't necessarily feel anything at the time, that's okay. Everybody experiences them differently. Some people have really profound experiences. Some people have really intense experiences. Some people don't, and that's okay. All right, just trust that that energy is reaching you, and really open yourself up to receiving. That's the most important part. Your intention, if you have some intention there that says, no, I don't want to receive this, then you won't receive it. And before I go any further as well, I just want to say that I am all about your personal freedom of choice, okay? And to move and shift towards things that you feel aligned to. So if there's anything today during my live, or if you're watching it on replay, that you sort of think, oh, that doesn't feel good for me, kind of makes me feel like I want to contract a little bit, leave it behind. Leave it on the table, walk away. It's totally okay. Just take what you want, take what you feel is going to benefit you and help you with your growth. And that doesn't just apply to what I'm going to share here with you today. That applies to all our speakers across this week, this Get Your Shift Together event to elevate your consciousness. I chose the speakers knowing that there was, you know, a few differences of opinions, of views, and that's okay. I'm happy to hold space for all of that, for you beautiful souls to pick and choose what it is that you feel aligned to, all right? But I will ask that respect remain intact all the way throughout the event. So if there is something that you disagree with, you know, that's okay. but make sure that you maintain a level of respect there. All right, just be open to the information. I think that's a really important part of learning and growth and evolution, is to be open. If you're not open to information, how will you ever learn anything new? You know, and I keep that in mind as well. Like, even though I'm sitting here as your teacher, your mentor today, or any other day, that doesn't mean that I don't still have learning to do myself. All right. I feel like the moment, and I posted about this today, actually, the moment that we stop learning or being open to learning is the moment that we hold ourselves stagnant. All right, you will never, ever, ever be stagnant as long as you're learning, as long as you're open to learning, as long as you keep evolving. All right, and I'm just going to take a little sip of my coffee here. If you guys have coffee, let me know. We can have a coffee together. If you've seen my lives before, you will know that I'm usually here with a coffee, but I do also have coconut water here with me. So during the activation that I'm going to do towards the end here, you may wish to have some water with you. So whilst I'm taking a little break right now to sip my coffee, you may want to go get water if you so choose to. All right. So let's get started. Just chatting about my journey here. Once again, if I do miss your comment, because I'm concentrating on what it is that I want to get across and share with you, please forgive me. I'm not trying to ignore you or anything. I will get back to the comments later if I do miss them. But do feel free to comment. I love it when you guys chat to me. That's the great thing about a live, you know. Even though I am sitting here by myself at the moment talking to my screen, you guys can still interact with me in somewhat real time, because there is, you know, a bit of latency there, a little bit of a lag in when I receive the comments and when you send them. Usually it's about a 30 seconds is probably an exaggeration, but like up to 30-second lag. So please forgive me if I don't see your comment. I am absolutely not ignoring anyone. All right, so guys, not everyone that you see, particularly like gurus and coaches and teachers and things like that, they've all had their history. They've all had their past. They've more than likely all been through struggles and hardship in their lifetime, just like everybody else. A lot of people sort of, especially new followers and things like that who've never heard my story before, they sort of look at me and go, well, fuck, she's got everything together. How am I going to get to this point? Let me tell you, it hasn't always been that way. Okay, it's not like I was born this well, I kind of was, but it's it's not like I've moved through my entire life with this massive field of spirituality and you know, a higher level of consciousness. I have been through struggle. I've been you know, through that depression. And you know, let me know in the comments if that's something that you have or are struggling with, going through depression, anxiety and things like that. So many people go through this, and so many people go through it quietly, without support, without telling anyone about it, because we're still sort of in that phase, although it has gotten a lot better. We're in that phase of that you know, there's a lot of stigma around mental health and getting help. Even just like my parents' generation, the previous generation before us, you know, going to seek help, going to even just Western kind of medicine, your traditional medicine of like psychologists, therapists, counselors, that kind of stuff. It was all very taboo back then. And you know, it's lucky that now we're starting to bring so much more awareness and so much more compassion and understanding into that. And that is why I do like to tell my story, because it shows you, honestly, I'm no different to any of you, anyone watching this, anyone in the world. You know, I am no different. Our journeys may look a little bit different. However, the fact that I healed and that I overcame isn't something that, eludes you or isn't within your grasp. It absolutely is. We are all capable of that. We're all capable of healing. It's just a matter of committing and choosing. And it's not always the easiest path. Okay, sometimes people think of the healing journey as being like snap of a finger, like yesterday I was so depressed and then tomorrow I'm going to be fine. More often than not, guys, it doesn't work that way. Some people are lucky in that sense, and they do manage to heal and overcome really quickly. But for the majority of people, it's not going to be like that. So if that is you, if you've been struggling for, months, years, decades, whatever it may be, I send you so much love, and please know that, there's nothing wrong with you. Just because somebody else perhaps is healing a little bit quicker, or somebody else's journey wasn't quite as tumultuous as yours, that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. It just sort of means that, the universe or the multiverse, whatever you want to call it, is gifting you a beautiful opportunity to learn and grow. All right? I kind of like to think of it as, if you've never experienced back pain, how do you know what back pain feels like? If you've never experienced depression, how do you know what depression feels like? You don't really. So it gives you this unique perspective in order to be able to connect with and help others. And I'm not saying that everybody that goes through depression is here to serve as, like a coach or a therapist or a counselor. Nothing like that. But it does just allow you to empathize more with other people. And could you imagine if everybody in the world, perhaps they didn't experience it, but could you imagine if everybody in the world knew what depression felt like and had compassion for that and an understanding around that? Wouldn't that be a pretty cool place to live? I know I would like to live there. I got a little bit distracted by this little one down here moving. Sorry, guys. Oh, goodness. So what contributed to my depression? Well, there was a lot of things really that did contribute to that. It wasn't, like a one cause or, one thing or one event or one situation or one circumstance. It was an accumulation of a whole lot of things. And I'm sure that this is, the experience of many of you who go through depression and anxiety. It's not just one thing. And some people tend to think that it is, particularly if they've not been through depression before. They just think, oh, well, she's just upset over a breakup or whatever like that. But it is an accumulation of things. And generally, it's an accumulation of things that began in childhood. Not always, but for the most part, it began there. When we're born into this world, we are born of love, and we are, the closest representation of our pure soul form. But then we're here to have a human experience, and then we get imprinted on by society and people that we know and love and trust. And sometimes, the lessons, even the loving lessons that people we love try to give us, can imprint something and give us some sort of programming that isn't necessarily the best. And it's not always done with bad intention. Sometimes it's just passed down because that's what, perhaps our parents were taught or our friends were taught, and then we learn those same lessons. And that's why it is so important to stand in your own strength and learn your own lessons. But it's also really important to be authentic with your own experience and look at it from an observatory point of view. Often we're so immersed in what we are experiencing, that we don't look at it from an observatory outsider point of view. And I'll help you I'll help you get to know more about that as I talk a little bit more through this. So, you know, some of the things that contributed to my own suicide attempt were this burning feeling of needing to fit in. If you've had that feeling before, chuck it in the comments. Let me know in the comments, because I think so many of us go through this. So many of us go through this. I need to fit in. I need people to like me. I need to feel part of a group. And whilst, yes, as human beings, you know, we crave community, we crave support and that kind of stuff. Often we look at it, or often we want it from the incorrect places. Okay, you know, many of you will have heard, you know, the term soul tribe, or heard me reference soul family and all that kind of stuff. We are not necessarily in this human experience, okay? We're not necessarily here to please everyone and to befriend everyone and to have everyone love us and be in our lives all the time. No, we are individuals on an individual journey. Okay, when we think of our humanity. All right, and you may be sitting there confused, and I'll touch on this a little bit later as well. If you're of the theory of oneness, how can we be individuals? As human beings, we're individuals, but there is a stream of consciousness that is oneness. All right, so the way that I kind of like to think about it is, my goodness, I've gone blank. What are those things called? You know, those static electricity kind of, those ball things, right? And when you touch it, you see like this little charge of electricity hit your finger, and maybe your hair will like stand up or whatever it may be. I've totally forgotten what that's called. If you know what that's called, pop it into the comments for me so I can reference it. But I kind of like to think of it as that, right? You will see those little individual spikes of energy if, you know, you put your finger on the glass at one point, all right? But it's still connected to the whole. So I like, you know, that's a visualization that I like to use that, you know, helps me reconcile that information. But by all means, use whatever visualization you like to use. But we are here to have an individual learning experience. And, you know, a lot of people like to think about what is the meaning of life? What is our purpose in life? Our purpose in life, at the very, you know, basic, fundamental reasoning, is experience and learning. Very basic, but that's, you know, that's what we all go through, right? There's nobody that has ever existed, okay, who hasn't learned, who hasn't grown throughout their existence in one way or another, okay? All right, so a need to fit in was, you know, really, that was probably one of the biggest, in all honesty, one of the biggest reasons as to, you know, why I was so depressed and why I eventually went to attempt suicide. So there was that need to fit in, right? There was also a little bit of embarrassment and non-acceptance of my background. And I recently spoke about this in regards to, you know, specifically my Asian background. There is a lot of, or has been a lot of stereotypes, a lot of, there's been a lot of stereotypes, a lot of criticism, I guess, of Asian races. And you know, it's funny because when I do think about this, and when I posted about it last time, I don't really remember any specific instances when I was really young. And, you know, I've been in I've done a lot of work in regards to like hypnotherapy and all those kinds of things, but there wasn't really necessarily a specific incident that kick-started the whole embarrassment of nationality when I was younger. So, you know, that sort of on reflection of that, on authentic reflection of that, I start to wonder if perhaps there was, you know, some sort of collective energy that I tapped into in regards to that taught me this. But, you know, there's many things like Asians are bad drivers. You know what I mean? Like Asians are good at maths. Let me just tell you something, all right? I am not great at maths. I really just am not. I need my calculator to survive. Maybe I'll be able to change that one day, but you know, we are not stereotypes, and we are not defined by our nationality or our race. You know, that was something that I learned later on, but you know, that was another contributor. I had a relationship breakdown. You know, I've been in toxic relationships, and whenever I bring up the word toxic, I always feel the need to throw in a little reminder there. All right, when I say toxic relationships, I'm talking about the situation, and I'm not excluding myself from that toxicity in regards to behaviors, attitudes, actions. Because I hear a lot of people talk about how they think, oh, well, this person's toxic. Oh, excuse me, I'm feeling like the need to sneeze. So let me just squeeze my nose for a little bit, because if you know me, I really dislike sneezing. I will do all I can to try and stop that, and usually a little bit of a nose pinch is good enough. But I actually had to take an antihistamine before, because I've had a bit of a allergic reaction this morning, which is probably why I want to sneeze a little bit. I had like this mark on my face here. I was like, damn, I'm going on live, I better take an antihistamine just to get rid of that. And I did a little bit of a meditation to try and get rid of that as well. So it's not too bad now. it's decent. But, you know, in regards to when people refer to other people as toxic, something inside me always cringes. And I'm just like, no, people are not toxic. Okay? People are not toxic. Behaviors, attitudes, situations, actions, they're toxic. All right, but not people. It's kind of like people aren't necessarily bad. There's bad actions, bad attitudes, bad situations, all that kind of stuff. All right, but I wanted to side note in regards to that when I was talking about relationships. Let me take another sip here. So I've been through some toxic relationships, and again, you know, those toxic relationships. Now I can look back on them and go, okay, well, I did contribute to that. There is no way that I can, blame anybody else, because I did contribute to that too. And I think, you know, that is also an important part of your journey, is that authentic reflection. A lot of the time we can play the blame game and go, well, no, it was his fault, or no, it was her fault. And realistically, perhaps you did have a part to play in it, you know, and I apologize if this triggers anybody. If you're experiencing any relationship issues or like that, you know, please know that I'm not directing this to anyone specifically, all right? But we often, more often than not, have a part to play in those things that break down, all right? And if we think about it, you know, if we'd set a stronger boundary, if we'd, you know, worked on our self-love a little bit more, you know, that independent part of you, if we don't get lost in that relationship and all those kinds, and this isn't a relationship talk, so I'm going to be off this topic in just a sec. But you know, if we do that introspection of how can I make myself stronger? What lessons can I learn from this? You know, you can really move yourself through that, you know, any grief or struggle that you may experience a lot quicker. But again, like I said, this isn't a relationship talk. We've actually got another speaker, Emmanuel Anthony, and he's going to be talking to you about relationship mastery. And now that I've mentioned another speaker, let me just side note here a moment and just, you know, chat to you about some of the speakers that are going to be coming on board, because I should have done that at the start, but I didn't. So, you know, learning curve for me in organizing events. So tomorrow, I'm going to be coming on live again, but I'm going to be in conversation with Jaron Kenyon, and he's going to talk to you about human design, which is really, really cool. If you know your human design type, okay, pop it in the comments. I'm a reflector. Yes, I'm the 1%er. Of course. And so Jaron will be talking to you more about human design. If you've got any questions, like any burning questions that you really want answered during that live, go into the event, pop it in there, and then, you know, we can have them written down beforehand. Otherwise, please feel free to join us live and ask those questions there. And then the following day we'll have Emmanuel Anthony, who I was just speaking about. He and I have been friends for a very, very long time. And he has been a crucial part of my own journey. He's really helped me through some rough times there. And, you know, there's one situation in particular that we both always remember. It was one of our very first talks that we had, and that was really, really impactful along my journey. So, you know, if you can get to that talk, highly recommend it. And then we have Melissa coming in to talk about abundance blocks and money and childhood traumas. Now, Melissa specifically, I haven't done much work with, but her partner, the co-founder of the Center of Healing, they co-founded it together. They both do some amazing work, but her partner, Ryan, I've known him for a while too, and he has also been, you know, a massive help along my own personal journey. I did a lot of inner child work along my journey, but, you know, one thing that I did with Ryan was really, really impactful. And, you know, I'm so grateful to him for that. So that we have Melissa, then we'll have Raymond Sito coming in to talk to you about the power of awareness. He's an amazing yoga teacher and teacher trainer. And he's also an NLP coach, I believe it is. So if you want to know more about the power of awareness, because it's pretty powerful, get in to his live there. And then I'll also have Ty Gold, a beautiful friend of mine who will be talking about 5D multidimensional marketing and selling. Do you know what, guys? Can I just give myself some props? Like, just give myself some love and show myself how proud I am of myself at the moment, because I'm actually remembering all this information off the top of my head. Wow. I always joke about, like, you know, my memory isn't necessarily my strongest point. So I am super proud of myself for getting all this right now. But let me tell you, what I'm visualizing is I'm actually visualizing the timetable that I have created, and I'm visualizing where all those names are and what's written under them and things like that. So then we've got Ty coming in to talk about 5D multidimensional marketing and selling. And she is going to have some amazing stuff for you. So join Ty if you can. Oh, I forgot to mention that when Ray does his talk, I will be in conversation with him as well. All right. So some people will be talking on their own. Some people are going to do it in conversation with me. So you're going to see my face a lot this week, which isn't all that usual, because I haven't been on live very much lately. And then we also have Jason. Jason teaches the face-to-faces in online Zoom Reiki classes for Quantum Ascension Temple. So he's going to come in and chat to you about, his spiritual journey out of the closet. So we have a lot of inspiration for you. We have a lot of opportunity to elevate. It is going to be amazing. It's going to be epic. So get into as many of these talks as you can. All right. Because because, and now I'm going to bring it back to my talk, one of the important things that we need to consider when it comes to any sort of healing journey or any personal growth journey is your rate of self-evolution. All right, you can sit and wish about and think about healing as much as you want, but if you are not doing anything at all to help yourself evolve, nobody can do it for you, unfortunately. And I say that with so much love because like I said, I've been on this journey myself, and I had to find that for myself. It was either I came to this point, and it was right after my suicide attempt, where I said to myself, okay, I either can continue attempting to end my life and perhaps not getting there and being in this situation again where I'm just, I feel like I failed at what I attempted to do, which was end my life, or I can try to find something better. I can try to appreciate life and grow and experience all that joy that I feel like I see everyone else experiencing. If that's something that you've been through, pop that in the comments too. Because many of us who go through the, depression and anxiety and, suicidal tendencies, many of us will come to that point within ourselves where it's like a fork in the road, and you're standing there and you're looking and you're going, okay, well, continue or change, continue or transform. Which way do I go? Sometimes we get stuck standing at that fork in the road and not being able to choose, so we just stay in that one place, but we wish for that direction where we can heal and get better. And as lovely as wishing is, as lovely and amazing as hope is, that's not what's going to propel you forward and move you through. All right? Don't get me wrong. You need to take your time. You need to do these things when you're ready. You cannot be pushed into these things by somebody else, because then it's not authentic. However, whenever I say that, I also like to back it up with really reflect and examine on, if you're saying I'm not ready, reflect and examine on that. Are you really not ready, or are you just saying you're not ready because you're holding yourself back? Because you can make the choice at any point in time. You can make the choice to grow, to evolve, to transcend. You are the only person that has access to your brakes, and that's something that I had to learn throughout. And, along my journey, I found that traditional Western medicine, like antidepressants, going to a psychologist, psychiatrist, all those kinds of things, didn't necessarily work the best for me. And I do want to make a little disclaimer here, okay? I'm not at all saying that you shouldn't go to, a doctor, or you shouldn't go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. You absolutely should. Absolutely. I would never, ever take that away from anyone. All right. But you do also have other options. Okay. So if you feel like that's not working for you, seek other options. And that's what I did, because I felt like, those antidepressants weren't working for me. I also didn't want to be on antidepressants for the rest of my life. I felt like, talking to a psychologist and psychiatrist, whilst it was really, really good for me in the beginning to let everything out, because I'd been holding everything in, it had its place. And then it sort of got to that, that plateau point where I was like, okay, well, yeah, this is good, but it's not getting me to that next level. So that's when I switched it up and started going down a more spiritual, alternative sort of path. And one of the things that I hear a lot is, I can't afford it. And, I understand, I absolutely understand that. When I was coming out of my depression and my suicide attempt, I was in that position also where I just couldn't afford to do all these spiritual, sessions and things that would help me out. But I was hungry for it. I really, really wanted it. So I didn't let that stop me. I would, look at all the free stuff that I could. If there was something that I could afford, I would go for that. I would save for sessions and treatments and whatnot. All right, but the most important thing that I want to impart on you in regards to your journey is to do what you feel aligned to doing, okay? Work with people that you feel aligned to work with. I never say, well, you have to work with me, okay? Because I actually, if you don't feel aligned to me, I actually don't want you to work with me, because you won't get the results, and I'll probably feel real shit too, because you're not getting results and you don't feel aligned. And that's why, you know. So if there's ever anyone, you know, along your journey that says to you, you need to work with me, this is your only alternative to healing, please don't listen to them. All right, if you're feeling super misaligned, please don't listen to them. Listen to your soul. Listen to your own intuition. Listen to your gut feelings. That's really, really important. Because had I not done that, okay, had I not listened to that part of me that said, okay, well, you know what, Western traditional medicine isn't working for you, maybe you should try more alternative things. If I had not listened to that, you know, who knows what could have happened. Maybe my journey would have taken longer. Maybe I wouldn't be here now. Maybe I wouldn't be on earth at all. Who knows? Right? So listen to your gut. And don't get me wrong, I didn't get it right every single time. You know, when I listened to something that I thought I heard, it wasn't right every single time. It wasn't like, okay, well, you're going to go do this and that's going to make everything better. All right. It was probably a learning lesson. It was probably a stepping stone. So when I say, you know, it's not always right, I don't necessarily mean that it was wrong either. And that's one thing that, you know, it's important to hold with you along your journey, is that, yeah, okay, you might make mistakes. You're going to get to points where, you know, something that you've done doesn't necessarily impact your journey as much as you thought it would. And that's okay. It's all part of your lesson. It's all part of your learning. It's all part of your evolution. And it's really important to have a good support network around you. And by support network, I don't necessarily mean that you have to have thousands and thousands of people around you, or hundreds, or even, you know, 10. Okay, but if you've got one good person that you can rely on, that you can trust, that you can feel supported by, that is worth everything. All right, because yes, you should be able to do it on your own, but like I said, we are in a human experience, so that connection can be really important. It can help you, it can motivate you, right? And the reason that I'm saying that is because I had a lot of people around me that did not serve my healing journey, that did not serve my growth, that whether intentionally or unintentionally, they were sort of blocking or limiting how far I could go. You know, I've told those who have been following me for a long time now, apart from my suicide attempt and everything, I've also been through other things. I've been a bit of a rat bag in my past, in all honesty. You know, I've been through crime and legal trouble and all that kind of stuff. But I also had people around me that knew that, and that used that, again, intentionally or unintentionally, and they made me feel like I would never ever be anything more than that. That because I had done these bad things, that's who I was, and that's who I was forever. But please let me remind you that bad actions don't equate to a bad person. You may do something that is wrong or bad in society's eyes, perhaps even in your eyes, okay? But that does not define you. And anybody that tells you that it does define you, anyone that says that you will never ever be anything else other than that, bye-bye. Get them out of your space. Get them out of your energy. Boundaries. Boundaries are really, really important. They're an important part of growth. If you're not setting yourself boundaries, ask yourself why. Are you people pleasing? Are you scared? And it's okay to be scared. Fear is, a lot of people will think that when you're spiritually in tune, when you're enlightened and all of that stuff, fear never comes into play. It absolutely does. All right? But the difference is, do you let it stop you? No. You embrace that fear as part of you. One thing that I like to do is I like to think of absolutely everything as consciousness. And I'm going to speak a little bit more about this in a second. But I like to think of everything as consciousness. So like fear. Think of your fear as consciousness. Speak to your fear. Fear, why are you here today? What are you trying to show me? Why are you showing up in this way, in this moment of my life, right? Talk to it. Anyway, moving back to what I was saying before, boundaries and all that kind of stuff. It's really important to make sure that you have people around you that love you, that support you, that aren't going to bring you down. And sometimes, because I know that someone either watching this live or on replay is going to be thinking about their family. Okay, and thinking, yeah, but my family brings me down, they hold me back, that kind of stuff. And I always laugh at that saying you can't choose your family, because you absolutely did. Your soul chose your family to be born into that for a lesson or a reason. Sometimes it helps to remember that, okay? So if you feel like it's going to help you to remember that you chose your family, your soul chose your family, and contracted you to that experience, then by all means think of it in that way. All right, but we can't necessarily get rid of our family, but we can learn to grow and move past that and not allow it to stop us. I'm very fortunate in that, that's not necessarily something I experience. However, my parents don't necessarily know all the ins and outs of my spirituality, because it's not something, not necessarily something that they feel aligned to. And I absolutely respect that. And that's okay. I'm not going to try to change their mind, man. My parents are over 70. So just let them live out the rest of their life in happiness. I'm all okay for that. So it's all about you and how you perceive things, and how you cope with things. So I want to move through now into chatting to you about the 4 levels of consciousness. And for those of you that are here with me live or either on replay, when I do go through these 4 levels of consciousness, let me know where you're at. Let me know where you feel like you're at. All right. So, and I'm also going to relate this back to 3D, 4D, and 5D consciousness as well. So I will relate it, but I'm going to talk about 3D, 4D, 5D after it. All right. So just hold that thought and hold any questions that you might have. So generally speaking, we have 4 levels of consciousness, guys. We have the first level, which is the victim stage. All right. And this is very much the 3D stage. With the victim stage, it's very much you have belief in the culture scape. All right, society's got its grip on you. You think, you've still got all that 3D dense programming. Things like I am not enough. Right, the life happens to me. Life doesn't happen for me. Yeah, it's the blame game space. It's everybody else's fault except for mine. There's nothing that I can do to help myself. It's following the bullshit kind of rules that are going on in our society. Like, money is super hard to make. You have to work really, really hard to make any sort of money. And one that's popping to mind at the moment, you know, because many of us in the group are very spiritual people. One of the victim stage kind of ideals is that anything spiritual or anything healing should be given for free. Let me tell you, if you are a spiritual practitioner of any kind, don't listen to that BS. Honestly, that is so stuck in 3D, it's ridiculous. I'm sorry to anyone who believes in that. But in all honesty, like, if you believe in that, let me tell you right now, I don't, and it's a bunch of bullshit. We were not sent here to or we're not in a human experience to live in poverty. And that's basically what we're asking people to do if they have some sort of spiritual offering and you want it all for free and it should be given out for free and all this kind of stuff. You're basically saying to someone, you're not worth it, you need to live in poverty. Think about that. Right, so that is, you know, the victim stage, the first level of consciousness. If you're there, let me know in the comments. And it's okay if you're there. All right, be authentic, embrace that, love yourself for being there, because when you recognize that you are there, it's so much easier to get out of it. It's so much easier to begin your journey to move forward. And, you know, realistically, we often overestimate the level that we're at. So, you know, authentically reflect on that. Is that you? Are you as a life happens to me person, not a life happens for me person? Are you someone that says, well, fuck my life, oh my God, all the time? That's victim. That's stage one. Oh, what's happened to my screen? It's gone. Okay, here we go. All right, and then we move into the next level of consciousness, which is the awakening stage. All right, and one thing that I like to point out here is that so many people in the spiritual community use the word woke and that kind of stuff. And if you're one of those people, I send you so much love. Please know that, you know, I'm not berating you or anything like that. I personally don't like to use it because I work off this level of consciousness, and the awakening stage isn't the end stage. A lot of people think that, you know, once you're awakened, that's it. Everything's amazing. But that's still only level 2 out of 4, right? The awakening stage is when you start to begin releasing that victim mentality. You start realizing, okay, I am enough. And there is so much more to my physicality. There's so much more to my human experience than all these sort of chains that we're put in by society. All right, that's the awakening stage. And when you're at the awakening stage, you're sort of more in 3D transitioning into 4D. Okay? So the awakening stage is not your end game or your end goal. All right? There's still things to work through there. But again, you know, if you're identifying yourself as being in one of these initial sort of levels of consciousness, please do not feel bad. Okay? I've been there. We've all been there at one stage or another. Right? We all go through this journey. We're all just at different points in our journey. And that's okay. There is no competition. There is no set outline of what you should be or where you should be right now at this point in time or by a certain age or whatever. You know, it's funny, someone asked me the other day, how old are you? And I said to them, well, if you want to know how old I am, and I wrote, because I was writing it, I wrote I am in capital letters. And then I wrote this ridiculously long number that had a plus and minus symbol in it, okay, which represents the age of the universe. And then, you know, the word billion after that. And I said, this is how old I am. If you want to know how many rotations I've done around the sun in this lifetime, I'm nearly on 37. 37 in a couple of days, actually. All right? But don't allow your age to dictate where you should be in life. I've been in that cycle, and it's a fucked up cycle to be in, because you never look at yourself and be proud of where you are or how far you've come. You know, I got stuck in this thinking of, man, you know, I should have, this was a while ago, I should have, you know, my career and what I want to do for the rest of my life all laid out. I should have had that all laid out from when I was in high school. That wasn't me. But now I can look back on everything that I've done, because I've had so many different jobs, and go, wow, I have had a wealth of fucking experience, an absolute wealth of experience. Like I worked in hospitality, I've worked in retail in store, I've also worked in retail head office as, you know, a buyer and a national stock inventory manager, and I've traveled for work. I've managed a flight planning software for pilots, so I've flown a plane. I've been a dancer, hip hop dancer in a hip hop dance crew, and I've also been a dance teacher. Like, just a wealth of experience. And I used to look at that in a negative light and go, oh my God, I don't want anyone to know I've done all these different things, and like, you know, I really had no idea what I wanted to do. But, you know, now that I think about it, I'm like, I would so much rather have done it that way and had all that amazing experience, that when I tell people now, they're like, oh my God, you've done that? Like, I'd rather have that than have been in one stagnant job for my entire life, or my entire adult life. So when you change your perspective, when you learn and you grow and you evolve, okay, that's when you start to look at things in a different light. And that is generally, you know, the awakening stage. So that's second level of consciousness. And then from that awakening stage, you move into recoding. Okay, so if you think of yourself in your brain, I suppose, your mind, as like a computer. So you've had all this different software, all this programming from when you were younger, all right? And when you're in the victim stage and the awakening stage, when you're in the recoding stage, when you're in that level of consciousness, that's when you're starting to change your programming, right? To the, okay, I can co-create my reality. And you're understanding that you know, you're a spiritual being having a physical experience. You're a non-physical being having a physical experience. You're not just your physical. This is just your vessel for now. Right? So that's the recoding stage. And that is the awakening, the recoding, and then the one above, which I'll explain to you in just a sec. They're generally where I work with people. Okay, now I'm not saying that I won't work with people in a victim mentality, in a victim consciousness. Okay, however, I tend to find that people in that victim stage aren't always ready. Whereas people in the awakening stage and the recoding stage, they are much more ready to really commit to their personal growth and their personal development and their evolution. They're understanding that that is part of life, is to grow and to accept those lessons. And if you want flow, if you want to actualize things into your existence, then you need to grow, you need to evolve, you need to learn. So that's the recoding stage. All right. And then the next stage following that is the master creator stage. All right. Now, when I say these stages, you may hear them as named differently. Okay. So maybe co-creating stage, all that kind of stuff. And that's okay. The general premise of what this stage is that co-creation, that knowledge that you really control a lot of your reality, that you have so much more power than you're human, right? Where this is where I don't like to use the word manifestation anymore, but I do because that's the word that most people will understand. Hopefully I can transition myself out of that. Hopefully I can teach my soul tribe the word that I like to use, which is actualization. And you know, I did a video on this a little while ago. To the master creator stages, where you're starting to actualize things into your reality. The belief that you are extraordinary. And your thoughts and your feelings and your identity can create your reality around you, can shift your reality around you. Right? So if you're brave enough to share, pop it into the comments and let me know authentically where you think you are in those 4 levels of consciousness. So 1, victim stage; 2, awakening; 3, recoding; and 4, master creator. Keep in mind that we tend to overestimate which level we're at. All right. And I should also say here, I'm being guided to tell you that, you know, you don't have to, the stage that you're in doesn't have to be solid. Okay. Sometimes it's a little bit fluid. Sometimes you'll oscillate or shift from level to level. All right. So if you find yourself in the awakening stage, you may sometimes shift back into that victim stage, but then you'll move back into the awakening, shift back into the victim. Healing is not linear. All right. Sometimes it's a little bit of a roller coaster. So you may shift in between these levels. All right. So once you become a master creator, you may, you know, it may take you a little time to actually stay there and always be there. You may have to go back to recoding and then coming back to the master creator, recoding, coming back to the master creator. And that's okay. All right. It's not a competition. Oof, geez, that was coming in strong. Now, tell them it's not a competition. It's not a competition. What level you're at. Okay. So don't feel bad if perhaps you're having a chat to someone about the levels of consciousness and, you know, whoever you're chatting to is at recoding stage, but you're still at awakening stage. Don't concern yourself with that kind of stuff. All right. Comparison is a huge limiter. It's a huge block. And if you feel that you are doing that comparison, then maybe reflect on that and ask yourself, where is that coming from? What can I do to help support myself through this? Listen to your intuition in that regards. Now, when it comes to, you know, shifting and moving through these levels of consciousness, one thing that is really important to assess is your happiness in the now. All right. So that master creator stage, all right, that has a whole lot of happiness in the now with a clear vision of the future, a clear vision of your future, what you want to create. All right. You may not necessarily have a vision of the process on how to get there, but you know the end goal. You know what you want out of the end goal. And those two need to marry beautifully. Happiness in the now and your vision of the future. To be in that master creator stage. All right. You can have a vision of the future, but maybe you don't have any happiness in the now. And that's going to cause resistance. All right. Happiness in the now, gratitude for everything that you have right now is so important, because otherwise you're probably going to get stuck in that I'll be happy when kind of mode. All right. And the I'll be happy when mode, the issue with that mode is that your outcome, your end goal, what you want, all right, is always going to shift. So you might say to yourself, all right, I'll be happy when I have this job. And then when you get to that job, you're like, fuck, I'm still not happy. I'll be happy when I get to this. You see what I mean? You're still attaining things that you want, but you don't have any happiness in the now. You don't have any gratitude for what you have achieved. And one thing that I posted about the other day, which I highly recommend everyone does, if you find yourself in that trap of the I'll be happy when, or find that you have no gratitude in the now, or feel like you've never achieved anything in your life, we often look at our goals and our life as a gap. All right, so where we are now and where we want to be, and then when we look at that, we look at it as the gap between. All right, now that's not the only gap in existence. It could be where you are now and where you've come from. This is a nicer gap to look at. Okay, this is one that is going to boost your self-esteem, your confidence. It's going to show you how much you've achieved in life. Sometimes we forget. Sometimes we forget that, you know, at one stage in our life, or maybe even now, getting out of bed was an achievement. If you are severely depressed, you will know that sometimes simply getting yourself out of bed is a fucking achievement. All right, and celebrate that achievement too. But that is an achievement, and it's one that we often forget. You know, learning to walk, that was an achievement. Learning to speak was an achievement, right? So if you look at life in that way, in that reverse gap kind of method, as opposed to the difference between where you are now and where you want to be, your goals, life is going to change for you. So I highly recommend that. Okay, and you know, one of the biggest things that moved me through the awakening stage was definitely Reiki. Okay, Reiki really opened up. Sorry, I should say learning Reiki for myself. That really opened up a lot for me. And in all honesty, I don't even know how I got there. I don't even remember finding this class, like the class that I was enrolled in. I don't remember researching it at all, anything like that. It was kind of like it just landed in my lap. The divine sort of just pushed me into it. Like I said, I don't remember the research. I don't remember how I found this place. The only thing that I remember is being on the phone and booking and enrolling into this course, and then getting off the phone and going, oh my God, wow, did that just happen? Like, and then I learned, and then, you know, that sort of started unfolding a lot of things for me. If you guys are certified in Reiki, check it in the comments, let me know. So that was a big catalyst for me along my journey. Now, I feel like I've been rambling on a little bit here, so I'm gonna move through a little bit quicker. And I'm going to, now that we've talked about the 4 levels of consciousness, I'm going to move you through into explaining 3D, 4D, and 5D. Now, I know that I've received this question a lot. I know that some of you, when you hear 3D, 4D, 5D, you're like, what are they talking about? All right, now, I know that most of you will know that when I say 3D, 4D, 5D, the D generally stands for dimension, okay? And I want you to know that when I talk about shifting through these, I'm not necessarily talking about shifting into another dimension where you open your eyes and you're basically in another world. Or, you know, you've left Earth and you're somewhere else. That's not necessarily what I'm talking about. I'm talking about dimensional consciousness. All right? So where your consciousness is at. Because depending on what you believe, I personally believe that our stream of consciousness isn't just here right now. Okay? It is in so many different places. So in one stream of consciousness, you've already achieved everything you've ever wanted to achieve. In one stream of consciousness, you're in the past. In another stream of consciousness, you're in the future. In another stream of consciousness, I'm on this live, but I'm talking about something different. Or I'm wearing something different. Because I had to choose what to wear. You know what I mean? All right. So think of it from a stream of consciousness perspective, okay? But we're looking at this one stream in regards to where we're at. We're talking about shifting that one stream into another thing. So 3D consciousness. What is 3D consciousness? That is generally that victim stage that we were talking about, okay? That level of consciousness. It's the consciousness of duality and separation. All right. And when I say, when I say duality and separation, I'm talking negative and positive. That's duality. And separation in regards to you're you, I'm me, there is no one, there is no collective. All right. It's the I am not enough programming, which is, like I said, the victim stage programming. It's the I'll be happy when kind of programming, because you've got no happiness in the now. It's the comparison, it's the competition. You know people, actually I'll phrase this a little bit differently. In my group, right, in the Quantum Ascension community where we are now, on Fridays I allow anyone to post about their business or any offerings that they might have, or any side gigs. That's because I'm non-competitive. Like I said, like I was talking about before, when it comes to alignment, the reason I'm non-competitive is because I want you to go to who you're aligned to. If that's not me, that's okay. That's part of your journey. I send you love on that journey. All right. So that lack of competition's heavily based in ego. Sorry, not lack of competition, actual competition, because we're talking about 3D. So yeah, 3D is, being heavily based in ego. That's where competition comes from. It's also the obsession with physical reality. All right. So if we take, I'm just going to hold up this close thing to me. If we take this pen, for example, all right, you see that as a solid object. Okay. Your human sees that as a solid object. But if we break it down scientifically, this is just vibration. Let you think about that for a second. This is just a whole bunch of like atoms and things vibrating. Right? We're also obsessed with our looks and aesthetics when it comes to 3D. So, whilst yes, our human will be physically attracted to someone, that's not necessarily why we come together. I don't know about you guys, but I have, thought I've been attracted to some, really good looking people, and then, start connecting with them a bit more and start talking to them, and it's like, that attraction's not really there anymore. And then vice versa too. I've dated in my lifetime people that, weren't necessarily my type. I didn't think they were my type looks wise. But then when I spoke to them, when I connected with them, their personality got me. Their energy got me. So, when we're in 3D, we're obsessed with our looks. And also, when we talk about physicality in the 3D, it's that, if it's not real, if I can't see it, if I can't see it physically, if it doesn't physically exist, then it is not real. But we know, that throughout history and stuff, they've said that so many times. And then someone will come along, someone who's got like this beautiful creative imagination that comes along and goes, well, actually, I can prove that it is. Or here are all the reasons why it is. And why, even if there's no proof behind that, like why, this isn't real doesn't make any sense. Okay, maybe we can't prove that it is real, but proving that it's not real, you can't do that either, and it doesn't make any sense. I hope what I'm saying is making sense, because I'm getting a little bit confused now between like what I'm trying to say. But yeah, obsessed with physical reality. So that's your 3D. All right, and if you're in 3D at the moment, in your 3D consciousness, chuck it in the comments, let me know. And then we move into 4D consciousness. All right, I'm actually going to skip over 4D for now, and I'm going to move straight into 5D, because I want to talk to you more about 4D, because a lot of you that are going to come and watch this live and on replay, I feel are more in 4D, and that's okay. It's totally okay. All right, so 4D consciousness is really the in-between in the transitional between 3D and 5D. All right, so that's why I'm going to talk to you about 5D first, and then I'm going to come back and talk to you about 4D. So 5D consciousness, sorry, I should say that 3D consciousness, okay, is when we're really in our carbon-based body. That's your physicality, all right? It's your carbon-based body. 5D consciousness, all right? This actually begins to change you at a DNA level, at a cellular level, at a subatomic level, all right? So a 5D consciousness is more of a plasma-based body, if you want to get more into that. And I'm only just going to touch on that now, otherwise this talk is going to be too long. But it's the kind of consciousness that remembers that there is so much more to you and you're human than your physical aspect. Okay, there's your soul, there's your spirit, there's your energy, there's your light body, there's your crystalline body, there's all these, your etheric body, all these things. Okay, we're energetic beings having this physical human experience. That is what 5D is. 5D is oneness. You have no need to fit in because you just do. Because you are. You are 5D. You are oneness. It's the I am. It's that knowing. It's that knowing that, you know, that the universe works for you because you are an expression of the universe. In 5D, there's only love and compassion. There is no hate. There is no low vibe in 5D. It's that co-creation stage, you know, that master creator stage that I was talking about before in the levels of consciousness. Okay, it's where we play, we experience joy, we experience unlimited abundance. And all those things are our right, our birthright, our soul's right. Right? So that's 5D. If you feel like you're in 5D, let me know in the comments as well. All right, and then 4D. So like I said before, 4D is the in-between. It's the transitional between these two things. All right, so in 4D, depending on, you know, how far, you know, how elevated in that 4D you are, all right, you can still, from this 4D, you can still access 3D and you can still access 5D. All right, so that's transitional. Now, the reason why 4D can be so important is because you can, just like the levels of consciousness, you can slip in and out. So, you know, you might get to 4D and then you'll be like, and something inside you goes, no, fuck this, and goes back to 3D. Like, this isn't real. No, I'm going back to 3D. And it can feel really tumultuous. It can feel really heavy and difficult, and it can be a struggle in this 4D. All right, but it sort of depends on how elevated you are within 4D. Like, are you close to 5D? If you're closer to 5D, you might start to feel a little bit lighter. But it can feel heavy or light depending on where you are. And by, you know, heavy or dense, I kind of feel like, you know, you might feel sick. You might get headaches. You might be really fucking tired. Yeah, you might be questioning yourself a lot. You might be feeling like you're going a little bit crazy. All right, and that's it's okay. Everybody experiences this 4D consciousness differently. All right. If you're one of the lucky ones that experiences it as light and fluffy, amazing. If you're not, amazing too. Sending you so much love, because, you know, it's not always an easy place to be. It's not all butterflies and roses and rainbows. All right. Sometimes it feels like a physical kind of purging. It feels, you know, like, you know how like you purge emotionally or you purge mentally. You get rid of these thoughts and these emotions that did not serve you. This is getting rid of more of that physical kind of stuff that no longer serves you. Your different parts of your DNA are getting activated. Right? And in the 4D, we begin to, you know, merge with our higher self, merge with that, you know, source and creation and the divine, God, whatever you know, whatever words you use to describe that. That's what that transition is. And, you know, that's a journey. That's a journey in itself. And it's one where you can experience it either way. And you might experience both. You might experience sometimes you feel a little bit heavy, sometimes you feel a little bit light. And that's all right. There's no one right way to experience this. So remembering, if we look back at the levels of consciousness, the 4D, okay, where that would be in the levels of consciousness would be sort of that awakening and recoding level. That's where 4D is. So if you feel like you're in that awakening and recoding level, you're probably in the 4D. You're probably transitioning, all right? One question, you know, that I would like to ask you at this stage is, you know, if you do feel like you're in, if you do feel like that you're in 4D or 5D, is what was one shift, you know, that caused you to go from that victim mentality into either awakening or moving through awakening into recoding and all that kind of stuff? What was it that made you understand that you have the power within you? This is an important thing to hold on to. All right, especially if you're having trouble along your journey. And on that note, because I've been talking for a little while now, I'm going to get ready to do your activation here for you. So what am I activating? I'm activating your personal ascension codes. All right. And these are the codes that are going to help you move through those levels of consciousness, move from the 3D to through 4D into 5D. Right? But depending on where you're at in your level of consciousness, for example, if you're in victim stage and you're still struggling to like find your footing, if you're still struggling to believe that you have power, to believe that there is more than the physicality, then, you know, this isn't going to shoot you straight into master creator. All right. It will take you a little bit up. It may not even shoot you straight into awakening, depending on where, you know, where you're at within the level, because it's not like it's just one level here. It's, imagine this space is a level and you could be anywhere within here. So don't expect that you're going to go straight from victim to master creator here. You might, yeah, okay, there's a possibility there. I'm not going to rule it out completely because infinite possibilities. However, all right, what it might do is it might push you and motivate you into starting to commit more to your journey, into finding more motivation, into loving yourself. It may give you that little kickstart that you need and move you through. If you're at a higher level of consciousness, all right, and you're completely open to it, then it's still just going to push you up that, it's going to elevate you up higher. So take what you will from this, all right, and know that you can come back and watch it at any time and it will give you something different because you will be at a different level of consciousness. All right, so it's going to give you those deeper layers. The more that you do this, the more that you move through your own levels of consciousness and your own rate of self-evolution. All right, so just take this. Excuse me. Actually, maybe I'll play a little bit of music at this point. Hang on, let me get something up. Trying to pick which one I want. Let's do this one. Oh, no sound there. Here we go. So now it doesn't matter if you're watching this live or if you're watching this on replay. All right, and I'm going to infuse the energies into this video so that you can receive them at any point in time, past, present, or future. So whenever you watch this, by all means, and I'll once this has uploaded, I'll also give a timestamp as well as to when this starts so that you can fast forward straight to that. Oh gosh, that's gotten a bit loud. Whoop. If you've never participated or seen one of my activations before, you may hear me speak some words that you don't understand. You may hear me make some funny noises. You may see me doing some weird things with my hands, all right? That's just part of it. Like I said, take what you resonate with, take what you feel aligned to, leave what you don't. And just be open to those energies flowing through into your DNA. All right. So let me just take, if you want to take a drink of water now, if you're participating live or on replay, have a little drink now. All right, and close your eyes and sit comfortably. A little trick that I learned in regards to when it comes to meditating and activations and that kind of thing is to have a little bit of discomfort, just a tiny bit of discomfort in your positioning. So what I mean by that is generally when you're sitting up, there's a little bit of discomfort there. When you're laying down, there's none because you're comfortable laying down. That tiny little bit of discomfort is what's going to keep you awake. You'll have more of a chance of staying awake instead of falling dead asleep. All right. So sit up if you can. You can have your legs crossed, whatever you want to do. If you really must lay down, by all means, please do. Like I said, do what you feel aligned to doing. That's totally okay. And if you do fall asleep, that's okay too. That's all right too. I hope you just don't miss anything that you needed to do after this. All right, so I just want you to drop into your breathing here. Just do some intentional breathing, nice big inhales. And I want you to exhale with an open mouth. Also, just place your right hand over your heart space, your left hand over your right. Set the intention that you are open to receiving this activation of your personal ascension codes. As you're breathing, also just notice where that breathing is landing in your body. It could be anywhere in your body. It may be in your toes. It could be in your solar plexus area around your diaphragm. It could be in your heart. It could even be in your third eye, your head, anywhere in your body. Just pay attention to where that exhale lands. And on your exhale now, I just want you to make a little bit of noise. You can follow me. And as you're breathing there, I want you to just imagine that the energy that you're currently holding, any stagnant energy within your body, is just draining out of you as you, on your exhale, on that noise. Feeling all that energy draining out. Making space for new, wonderful personal essential codes, energy. Allow your breathing to return to normal slowly now. And you don't have to make that noise anymore. And we're inviting the personal ascension, energy codes and consciousness into all the viewers, either live or on replay, all of my soul tribe that are ready, willing and open for this activation. Now, when you hear me speak these words that you may not understand, part of you may feel like responding, and that's okay. All right, whether you want to do that out loud or not is totally up to you. If you do feel like responding, pay attention to what it is that you feel like you want to respond. If you want as well, remember it so you can type it in the comments afterwards. And I want to share with you that you are a powerful, 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 amazing expression of the universe that has everything that you need within you. Sometimes it just needs to be unlocked and activated. And here now you may be given a color. You may start to visualize or sense some form of color. And if you do, just allow that color to wash over you. This is your personal ascension color. Just take a couple of big deep breaths here. At this point you may feel yourself getting hot. You may even feel yourself the opposite, getting cold, and that's all right. If you don't feel anything at all, that's okay too. Just remain open. And you may feel almost like rain, but not wet, like an energetic form of rain at this point. Okay, these are those personal ascension codes downloading and integrating into your DNA. Remembering though, that even if you don't feel anything at this point, it's all right. Just trust and know that this energy is being sent to you anyway. Deep breath in and forceful exhale out. Do a couple of these, however many you feel aligned to doing right now. It'll be different for everyone. And locking those personal ascension codes in. Locking them in even if they're not necessarily being activated today. Allowing them to enter and remain and be useful and activated and recalled when necessary. And remember your personal ascension color, because this may appear to you over the next sort of week or two. And if it does, just know that this is your soul tribe and your soul team, your soul family, your divine and galactic families coming in and assisting you with moving through those levels of consciousness and your personal ascension. Deep breathing. If you're experiencing any sort of discomfort or pain, just breathe through it. If you feel like the need to lay down and you've been sitting, that's okay. Just lay down now. Personal ascension is often a rocky ride. So if you're feeling that rockiness right now, that's okay. Know that this is just helping to shift you through into another level. And depending on where you're at in regards to 3D, 4D, 5D and those 4 levels of consciousness, this is just moving you through, helping you shift through. And whilst I do ask that shift be as effortless and graceful and easy as possible for you, know that it will be what it will be. And accept and embrace this as is. It is all part of your beautiful journey. Embrace it so you can embrace yourself. And just locking all that in once again. Lock it in, lock it in. As we close, take a deep breath, and in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, coming back into your body, into your physical human body, coming back into your awareness right in the now. And gently opening your eyes when you're ready. Did you enjoy that, baby, huh? Someone's come. Someone's come to get my attention. Get some love. All right. So as you're all coming back there, whether you're watching this live or on replay, let me know, comment your experiences if you had any there. Let me know what you felt, what you may have seen. If you had a personal ascension color, let us know what the color is. All right. And before I leave you guys today, if you feel called to have me with you on your journey, if you feel called to have me with you on your journey, please do reach out, get in touch, or you can book an alignment call. I'll pop a link in the comments once I have finished this live. It's quantumascensiontemple.com/book a call. It's a complimentary call where we talk about your vision and we explore what magic we can co-create together on your journey. Now, in regards to the activation that you just received, if you do feel tired, right, if you feel any physical pain or any physical struggle, make sure that you get some rest, right? Don't be too doing anything too strenuous if you can avoid it. Just be gentle with yourself. Make sure that you drink plenty of water, and also trust. Okay, trust is an important part of this journey. Trust that an energy has gone to you. Trust that you now have newly activated personal ascension codes that are going to help support you through your journey and move you through those levels of consciousness. And if you have any questions for me on anything that I spoke about today, or the activation, or anything that you wanted to do with me, please don't hesitate to reach out. And if you are interested in working with me but you sort of just want to dip your toes in, that's okay too. I do have memberships to the Quantum Ascension School of Mastery, and you can, I'll drop another link in the comments for that too. It is quantumascensiontemple.com/membership. I do have some 30-day free trials for the Quantum Shifter tier, which is the mid-level tier. In the membership, you get things like video classes, you get activations, you get Jesus, I've totally forgotten the stuff that you get in there. You get like journeys and meditations. You get access to mini courses and a lot of my recordings. So if that is something that you're interested in, please do reach out. And for those of you that have registered, you'll receive an email about this anyway, and you will receive links to this replay. So thank you so much to those of you that joined me live today. Thank you to anybody watching this on replay. Don't forget to give me a hashtag replay so that I know that you have watched, and stay tuned in the group. We do have some amazing speakers coming up for Get Your Shift Together over the next few days. So check out the events, check out the registration page, quantumascensiontemple.com/get your shift together, and put into your calendar the events that you want to attend, the speakers that you want to listen to, and many of us will have some awesome offers coming up for you. So thank you so much once again to those of you that join me live or on replay. I'm sending you all so much love. Remember that you have everything within you, and you can be, evolve, and transcend. So much love to you all until I connect with you next time. Bye for now, guys. Mwah.